for Hum of the Earth. We are in Colombia's capital, Bogota. Today we'll be doing a historical tour of the city. It has a very rich history. Spanish settlers first came here through the country. They were looking for gold, El Dorado, and they eventually settled here because of the high elevation meant there was no mosquitoes, and at that time people coming from Europe were really prone to diseases coming from the mosquitoes biting them, like yellow fever, etc. So there was no mosquitoes here. Also, because of the high elevation, it was cooler. Well, it still is. And also the mountains surround the city. You can't really see them from here. Okay, maybe a little bit over there. Would provide fresh water. Important to note that before the Spanish settlers came here, it was home to the indigenous Muisca people. So Bogota is really important historically because it was the capital of the Kingdom of Gran Colombia when it was Venezuela, Panama, Colombia, and Ecuador that we know today was all one big country. But then when those kind of parts started separating into individual countries, the first president was, I believe his name is Francisco Santander, this statue here, who was kind of the administrative powerhouse behind the Spanish Revolution. Here we have the church that was initially built in the 1500s, so pretty old, well-preserved church. Here's the front of the church, and this is the square that's called the Four Corners of Power. You have the church, bank, the oldest newspaper, and McDonald's. The building with the green dot over there is the Emerald Trade Center. Bogota sells 55% of the world's emeralds. And on the street here, there's a bunch of men with cell phones just standing around. And that's kind of like the gray market for emeralds. So you can potentially buy them for cheaper there. But if you aren't an expert, there's a good chance that you may get swindled. Members of the ever-present Colombian military. The church at the top of that mountain over there is Juan Zarate, the tallest point in the city at 3,200 meters. The kind of average elevation for the city is 2,600, so it's possible to get elevation sickness going up. I would imagine especially so if you're taking a cable car. So they have two different types of cable, well, I think one's a cable car and one's a gondola. Because I'm traveling full time, I'm pretty frugal, so I decided to take the hike. Here we have one of Simon Bolivar's houses, which, if I remember correctly, is now the Ministry of Foreign Exchange. I believe this is the National Theater. At the very least, the prettiest inside. Not sure I'll actually visit it because it requires a tour, but maybe I will. Here we have Simon Bolivar Plaza, probably the most iconic part of Bogota. So over here with the statue and the tower is the first high school of Bogota, and to this day it still remains active as a high school. Here we have the Congress of Colombia, and behind the Congress have the Presidential Palace. Over here you have the Town Hall of Bogota, a statue of Simon Bolivar, the most important figure in the independence of Latin America. A lot of important events happened here in Bogota relating to the independence. Here we have the Supreme Court. Probably the most famous event relating to this building is when the M19 cartel took all of the people working inside of the Supreme Court, so over 200 people, hostage, and they demanded that the president at the time come to negotiate with them, probably for money or something. But instead, this is the cathedral here of Bogota, but instead they just sent the army to open fire on the guerrillas, and naturally in the crossfire the people inside were affected. The Supreme Court caught on fire, and about half of the people were able to escape, and the other, unfortunately, were not able to escape the fire. These, pardon the pun, guerrilla tactics ended up backfiring for these groups and the cartels, because the government was then forced to double down on dismantling these organizations. This increased attention from the government led these groups to move to more rural, obscure areas like the Amazonian part of Colombia. This means that today Colombia's major cities such as Bogota, Medellin, and Cali are much safer now. Hope you guys enjoyed this historical tour of Bogota, Colombia, Colombia's capital. If you found some of the historical aspects of the tour interesting, or just the city in general, I highly recommend that you go out and research more of Bogota's history and even Colombia's history in general. Very interesting stuff. I also did some other videos that kind of talk about the Latin American Revolution, so independence from Spain. I talk more about that and the whole kind of story of Simón Bolivar in my historical tour of Cartagena, and a little bit as well in my tour of Santa Marta. So you can check that out if you're interested. And if you're interested in visiting Bogota or just seeing more videos about Bogota, I also did a video about the graffiti culture in Bogota, which was pretty interesting. So you can check that out, as well as a video of the best affordable places to eat in Candelaria, which is like the historical center of town. So you can check that out as well if you're interested. And if you're new to the channel, I'm currently bicycle touring from Canada to Argentina on my first ever bicycle tour. If you'd like to see an interactive map of everywhere that I've been and everything that I've done, I have that over on my website, followthehumoftheearth.com, where you can click on the different places that I've been, see the blog posts that I've written, and the videos that I've made. And if you'd like to follow my continuing adventures, you can do so by subscribing to my YouTube channel. And if you'd like to be notified when future videos come out, you can click on the bell. Anyways, hope you had a good time. Have a great one.